I work for me, so I can say whatever the fuck I want to.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Back again with Fouled Out. Man, Bill, a damn Vietnamese comedian has taken over my Facebook page. But I got everything back. We're working again. And
or something, right?
yeah, what is it, NC Tranton or
Yeah.
some shit like that. Anyway, but welcome back to Fouled Out Podcast, presented by our good friends at Precision Suspension. Be sure to check out Sammy Speaks for all of your suspension needs, and become part of the P1 posse. Man, tell us a little bit about what we got going on, because this is more your wheelhouse today than it is mine.
Yeah, we got my man Cecil Towner from HTP Performance, promoter of Horsepower Hustle, on the show tonight. Cecil's a big guy in the grudge world of motorcycles, and in fact, he's the man right now in the motorcycle world. You know, they done some special things last year that hadn't been done in the grudge racing community as far as shootouts and stuff go.
Right.
So we'd like to welcome Cecil Towner on from HTP Performance.
What's going on, man? Can you hear us all right?
Yeah, I hear you good. How's it going?
Nice. Good, man. Thank you for coming on the show. As I was telling Bill, and you probably heard, man, I do not know that much at all, but I am looking forward to talking with you and learning a lot more about the motorcycles and the drag racing, the grudge racing, and all that. And I've heard you've done some pretty interesting things already. Me and Bill were talking, said you guys went 26-0.
Yeah, we went on a little streak last year that we really didn't even know that we were doing it until it was brought to our attention at the end of the season. It was good. I mean, you know, in grudge racing and drag racing period, you're gonna honestly lose more than you win. And fortunately enough, last year, one particular bike ended up going 26-0, and it was pretty killer. Bike was good. Was it the fastest thing out there? Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't, but it was very consistent, and it had everything to do with the owner rider combination. The owner spares no expense. He always puts the best parts in his program, and the rider, I can't speak enough for Little Charlie, or LeVar DeLee is his name. And I mean, this guy, he, you know, in and out, man. I've been working with him for probably going on almost 20 years now, probably about 17, 18 years. And me and him got a really good relationship, and we feed off of one another really well. He makes it easy for me to tune a bike that he rides, and it's really good.
So for the people that don't understand a lot what you do at HTP, and like I said, we're going to get into your racing series that you started, the Horsepower Hustle thing. We're going to get into that in a minute in the show. But for people that don't know what you do at HTP, like, I'm a customer, so I know what you do. I know how busy you are. I know what it entails for you to make sure everybody's stuff that's coming out of your shop is in good working condition and performs. But a lot of people don't understand that not only are you a motorcycle builder, but you're one of the best tuners out there, and you're an innovator of parts and stuff, and you try to bring those parts to all your customers.
Yes.
So if you want to tell us a little bit about what y'all do there.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things we've started doing now, probably for the last 4 or 5 years, I always wanted to have machines and make our own parts. And when I finally got to put myself in a position where I could go ahead and take a gamble and get my first machine, we did that, and it started paying off dividends right away. We were able to, you know, man, you sit around a motorcycle at night and look at it long enough, you're like, man, this would be cool if I put it right here. And you start coming up with parts and ideas of something that's lighter, something that's sleeker, something that's faster. It's something that, you know, allows, you know, something to be mounted in a place that you couldn't. And we started producing parts. And as far as the performance side of things, what it allowed us to do is now, you know, we do everything that we can in-house, and it allows us to do a lot of trial and error, do a lot of dyno work with stuff, a lot of track work. And by doing all this stuff, we're able to test things before they get to the public. You know, when I first started doing this, as a builder, as a mechanic, as a tuner, you were only ever as good as your customers are. Um, if you have customers that don't allow you to push the envelope, you'll never find the limit. Um, and it makes it tough. Let's just say you're running through a couple of months and you got a really good idea, you got some really good things you want to try, but you don't have anybody to try it on or with, and it makes it tough. So the good part about being able to produce the stuff in house and try it on your own, like we try to stay on top, and when a new bike comes out, we try to purchase that motorcycle and start immediately fabricating parts for it. Try to make go fast goodies for it right away. That way, um, we can give the public, the end user, something that we've tested, tried, raced. It's not something that just comes off the machine and we throw it on your bike. We've actually proven it before we put our name on it. So, that's one of the big things I like doing right now.
So it kind of sounds like it's similar to what I'm familiar with in the circle track world, but it's always about trying to one up the competition and find what's quicker, the newest thing, or the most innovative thing out there. And
Yes.
obviously having CNC machines, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about that you have. You're able to just whatever comes to your mind, you can create that.
Yeah, and we got a hell of a team. I mean, my wife started out; she was our machinist in the beginning. She designed our parts. I mean, she made our first turbo plenum for the 2017 1000 when we got it. And now we got Justin Collier works for us at HTP now, and he's at the shop cranking out parts. I mean, constant, nonstop. I mean, I'm the one that interrupts everybody while they're making something. Says, "Hey, I need to try to do this." So
Right.
as much as they love it, they hate it because I definitely, man, I'll come up with something on a whim and just like in the middle of a production run, just like shut that shit down and try to get some go fast part made.
That's really odd because I went to school for machining, and so I'm being able to do that stuff and the all the things that CNC machines can do nowadays is unbelievable.
It is really.
Well,
really
I remember when I first come to you and you asked me straight up, you was like, well, what brung you to me? And I
Right.
said, well, I mean, I understand that all the motor builders, all the top guys out there, y'all buying the same parts. And it's not like you got some special magic wand over there that you're getting a part that they're not getting except for the parts that you produce yourself.
correct.
But I told you then, I was like, well, the difference in your shop and other shops is that you can do it all. And
Right.
if there's a product that you come up with that you see works, then you contact your customers and say, hey, look, this is proven. We know we've done it on our motorcycles, and it's going to get you faster. And so you're getting a one-stop deal. You're getting big horsepower built for you. You're getting a guy that's a super tuner and a guy that's an innovator when it comes to the parts world of the motorcycle world.
Yeah, definitely. Building the engines definitely makes the ones that I tune easier. As far as I know the internals. Um, as a tuner, though, on the flip side, I love tuning an engine that I didn't build just for the simple fact that, like, I'll give the customer exactly what they want, how they ask me to do it. But there's always that in the back of my mind. I'm like, man, like, I hope they knew the compression of that thing before we blow the lid off of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah,
but I mean, it's really good. It helps. It's no different than there's a lot of riders that have stepped their game up in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Your Richard Gadsden's, Jeremy Teasley's, Ryan Schnitz, these guys that were riders from 15, 16 years old that now they're riding, they're tuning, they're starting to dabble a little bit in building bikes. Like Ryan, he builds engines, bikes, everything. But Jeremy and Richard, they build stuff, they put bikes together, and when you can do all the pieces of the puzzle, it kind of gives you that uniqueness of it to where you have a feel for things. I always tell guys, like, I learned everything I know from Lester Jenkins and Jim Carroll when I started working at a Kawasaki dealership with them. And those guys were mechanics that rode motorcycles. And they could make a pass and get off, and they'd be like, man, that goddamn clutch is slipping in high gear. Where somebody else just might tell you, oh, it's surging or whatever. They knew exactly what was going wrong with the bike. You know what I mean? And I always thought that was very, that was a very special skill set. And I make sure with all the latest technology and data acquisition that I can give when I'm sitting down at a table with a rider and he just makes a pass. And if he doesn't know, that's what I like, being able to school them on and let them know, like, hey, what you're feeling right here is this. And then they'll start bringing it in. And that's where working with like Charlie and Jeremy and Richard and David Fondant and I mean, so many great guys. Trevor Schnitz now is riding for us. I mean, there's so many guys I've been so lucky to work with. And then like in the pro stock world with working with Corey Reed, Joey Gladstone, all those guys, like being able to sit down and show them on the computer screen, this is what happened in the run. And these are where it happened at. Now, what did you feel? And now they can start putting one-to-one together. It makes them better riders. It really does. Like, it really makes them better riders when they can see on the screen what was going on internally in the engine, and you can show them everything, whether you got clutch slip graph up, wheel speed, whether it's wheel ride height, whatever it is, they can see it on the screen, and then they can tell you how they felt it by the seat of their pants. And, it's really, it makes them, a better rider at the end of the day. It makes me a better tuner too. When they give me the better feedback, they give me the better stuff. We can sort things out faster.
Well, I was going to say, it's got to be, you really got to be on your game, because from what, the amount of time that they're actually, for the run that they're making, there's so much data and so much stuff that's going on just in that short little run of what is an average run.
I mean, you can say, like, even just use there's plenty of bikes that run 5 seconds and quicker, but I mean, about that 5 seconds, right? So
Exactly.
in 5 seconds, they have to process a whole ton of shit.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. I mean, there's some things that happens they don't even know that happened. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
man, you didn't see that goddamn oil light come on in fourth gear, and they're like, you know what I mean? Like, I was trying to keep them hitting the cone, So, like,
I mean, that's in 5 seconds. The like you said, with the data acquisition and stuff, to be able to look at that on the screen, because you can't really process the thousands and thousands of things that are happening in that 5 seconds, but to be able to slow it down and look at every little aspect of it, that's where you're making the speed.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that with him. So when he pulls your data off your motorcycle, he plugs in and it goes up on his laptop. He can tell you when the rider lifted, when the throttle was locked, if he lifted, or whatever. He can tell you so much stuff just throughout the whole run,
Right.
that it's like, it's mind blowing.
And I would imagine that just the smallest little thing of like shifting at a certain RPM or whatever, it can make such a big, because you've only got 5 seconds. That small little adjustment that you make by looking at that data is probably the world.
Oh, it's unreal. And until I was faced the challenge of messing with pro stock motorcycles, before pro stock, I was heavy power adder, whether it was turbo, nitrous. I mean, every now and again you do some all motor stuff, but in the pro stock world, like, all you have is that engine, all you have is that clutch, all you have is that tire, that chain, that sprocket. So every little thing matters. You lean your body to the right, to the left, and you heat up one side of the tire or not. You start scrubbing off speed. You start, you overshift the thing 200 RPM or undershift it 50. All these things add up to a time ticket that we get.
Right.
And you'll be like, damn, we're off a mile an hour. And in that class, a mile an hour, 2 mile an hour wins or loses, So it's crazy. It's really good and competitive, but man, do you really see like how fine tuned it is? I mean, simple body English can jack a whole run up. And now, luckily with technology, I mean, we'll have 16 channel tire temperature sensors, just like
gosh
stuff, and I can tell you if you're putting more pressure on the right foot peg or the left foot peg, and whether the bike's tracking going straight down the track using IMUs and stuff like that. We can see, just on the G meters, the accelerometers, we can see all this stuff that's happening. Because if we didn't have that, at the end of the day, we're guessing. Mm-hmm. So that's the biggest thing. Drag racing, if you can take guessing out of drag racing, Because you always still have to guess somehow, but the more hard numbers you can put to things, or make your own ruler, as I call it, that you can have and you can measure, then that way you can, move forward and try to make an educated decision for what you're about to do.
Yeah, I think I learned a little bit how precise that you can be on it. Like in Orlando, when our bike hit the wall,
Right.
you were like, yeah, he hit the wall here. I can tell he hit the wall. I'm just saying this at 580 feet because he cracked just a little bit, but he was back in the gas
Yeah.
immediately. And so, like I said, I know that it's very accurate in what you do as far as is knowing what you're looking at and knowing the feedback that you're giving back to the rider. A lot of people don't know just how peculiar you are. I know because I've conversated with you and I've been a customer of yours, and so I know that, and they don't know that you got two sides to your shop. Most people don't even know about your pro stock side. They don't know that you got a whole separate section of the shop that doesn't interfere with the other section for the pro stock guys. And I know that y'all are starting to make y'all's way over there in that arena too.
Yeah, it's and I do keep it separate. At the end of the day, it's kind of the same, but it's not. But the things that I can learn from one side of the shop to the other, and I can apply, knowledge on both sides. It's really good because it is two totally different avenues. The power adder side or the street bike side on my end, we deal with bikes that have a round, tire that's 190 or 200 millimeters wide, and it puts down maybe 1 inch on the track. And in the pro stock world, we got a big car tire on the back, puts down 10 inches of rubber, and it's got wheelie bars. One's got a full working suspension. They're two totally different avenues, but there's a lot of things that are similar in them too. And one of the main things is the data part of it, like reading the data and analyzing it. You have to do both the same as far as breaking the run down into milliseconds and going through and looking at every little aspect of the run, how you can improve on it. So the biggest thing that I think we're fortunate enough to be able to see both avenues is I feel like it's constantly, both of them can throw me curveballs, which is good because it keeps me on my toes, because you have to stay on innovation, man. There's always somebody out there quicker. There's somebody always out there that is trying something that you haven't, and you have to, if you don't feel that way or think that way, you're going to be behind. So
Yeah, definitely your 7 Ps is definitely what puts you ahead of the game. And I learned that from racing with the cars with Stevie, and I think that's what made him successful moving over to the NHRA Pro Mod world was the Grudge World.
yeah,
I mean, you got to be able to deal with everything in the Grudge World. You got to deal with people walking up beside your car, tapping on the back of it while you're sitting there trying to stage it, and folks everywhere, just people playing mind games at the starting line. And like I said, I know your heart's grudge racing because that's what you love, but
it always has been. It's been a real big part of my business from day one. And man, grudge racing is, people don't know this, but it prepares me for like NHRA pro stock motorcycle racing. They're like, how the hell is that? Well, you go to NHRA, and a prime example was this weekend in the Gator Nationals. Everybody sat around the entire week and got rained out. And then it came down for a pro stock motorcycle to take the qualifying ladder Saturday night. They were going to get one hit before their day was over. And they had a bike break, they had an oil down, and then it got cold, and they called it. So they went off a point Sunday. Nobody made any runs other than, I think, 2 or 3 pair. And just like a grudge race, when you come to a grudge race, man, you better have your shit together, because you might get one lap, you might not. Somebody might knock on your trailer door and want to race your ass off the trailer. Well, you gotta have your stuff together. So it was really good to see, the people that were able to succeed, like right off the trailer, hit it, because sometimes you don't, sometimes you miss that thing. And I'd say grudge racing over the years has really helped me be able to prepare for that, because on a normal NHRA weekend, it's 3 qualifiers, and you could possibly go home if there's more than 16 vehicles there, or it's 3 qualifiers, and then nobody wants to go home first round loser,
absolutely.
And that's one thing. Like, the grudge racing side has really like propelled me into being prepared for NHRA. You've got to give it your best off the trailer and go. You got to make really, really, really smart decisions and hope that you're picking, and doing the right choices. When you go out there, you can't just like kind of wing it. I mean, some days you can, but it all comes from preparation, and now the whole sport has evolved. There's to me, I feel there's more people grudge racing now than ever. I feel the sport is super, super strong and popular. Um, and the customers are adapting to the way the sport has become. Shootouts weren't a thing in the past. People used to say that grudge racing was better back in the day when it was just straight up heads up grudge racing. There wasn't a shootout involved, but they never sat in staging lanes like me for hours on end in Rockingham till 1 a.m. and never made a race or never did a pass because the other guy couldn't get his bike right. You know what I mean? Like, or he was making passes, but he just didn't feel he was running his number. And it was a whole lot of the thing the shootouts did was it give you real high reward with a little risk. If you wanted to win that $20,000 pot, now you got to put up 1,000 to race for 20 instead of putting up 20,000 and losing 20,000. And it still happens too. People still do real, I call it not real, but people still do regular grudge racing. But the shootout thing today has propelled the sport to make more people definitely race more. I mean, for sure.
I think
a lot more action with the shootouts.
I think it was a little late behind the cars, but I think that's what's making it evolve. Same way with the cars. If a person knows he can come there and run a shootout and have a chance to win 20K, and he can possibly bet a guy 10,000 during the process and make a grudge run too, it just brings people to the racetrack. It brings bikes that wouldn't normally go there if they didn't have a locked-in grudge race. It brings them to the racetrack because they're racing for something regardless. And it's still the same. It's no time. So it's not like no one's going to know what the bike run.
Yeah, I mean, when I started doing this stuff like in 2001, man, the grudge bikes then, they only would probably go to 2 or 3 events in a year. 2 or 3 events in a year. Now that those 2 or 3, I mean, I remember back in the day when we did all motor GSXR 1000s, we used to tell our customers it was 10 to 15 passes and then bring it back to the shop and freshen it up. So they would go to like 3 events or 4 events and make 3 or 4 passes and bring it in for a freshen up. It was crazy. Like that same engine combination today gets the holy dog shit sprayed out of it. It's the same crankshaft manufacturer. It's the same bearings from Suzuki or Kawasaki. And now we're putting double the horsepower of nitrous on top of it, and they're getting 15, 20, 30 runs out of the same motor they were running naturally aspirated 18 years ago. But we're just pushing the envelope. Things are getting better now, a whole lot better. There's a whole lot better electronics out there today that help with the tuning aids that make it the stuff lasts a lot longer. But definitely now guys are able to go out and race a series or go to 10 events a year or 8 events a year and do well. I mean, the COVID thing has been a hindrance on all motorsports parks right now. But I think we're going to see some change soon. I hope, all our suppliers and all the chains of manufacturers they're all trying, man. Everybody's working around the clock trying to keep up with production. I think everybody's on like DEFCON 4. Everybody's stressed the hell out. And it's in the industry of motorsports because everybody wants it and they want it now. And when you're manufacturing, no matter how much money the client has, you still need time. You can't buy time. That's the one thing that none of us can buy. I don't care how rich or how poor you are. You can't buy time. And, when you work, 20 hours a day, I tell people you got to sleep for at least 4.
Right. Getting back to the thing where you were saying that, the grudge racing was preparing you, for the stuff like the NHRA thing, because you were having to come right out of the trailer to run or whatever. I'm assuming, especially now with all the data acquisition and stuff you probably got a hell of a notebook that you can share with your customers as well, right?
That's a fact. I mean, man, we document everything down the water grains to the temperature, the barometric pressure, density, altitude. We log all the weathers. We the only thing that's not, I think, done accurately in the motorcycle world is the actual grip on the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
They use gripometers in NHRA, the car guys do, where they put the little box on the ground and it spins its wheels and it gives them a number. But in the motorcycle world, I mean, you can still use one of those things. There's no real like calculated grip, and the same thing. Does the number mean anything? No, but it's like
Right.
a measuring tape. You know what I'm saying? So, you went this fast this day on this track with this temperature, and the track grip was this much. Then if you come across that scenario again, I can throw that tune-up back in it.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
approach it.
Is that kind of and pardon my stupidity on this thing, but like watching the TV shows, they're putting the tune in these cars and stuff. Is that basically what they're doing? Like you said, you've got a notebook where you're saying, all right, it's this, throw this one in. This is what worked last time.
So, like for example, if I run one of my nitrous boostas in October in Darlington when it can be cold, I've already done that before, right? So I'll go back and look at my notes in the middle of the event, and I'll go, damn, man, it's going to be 55 degrees tonight. I know I ran here before like that, and I'll pull it up. Like in 2018, I ran here. It was 55 degrees. The air was this, and I left on this bottle pressure with this tire pressure, and I had the clutch set up like this, and that's at least a really good starting point for me. Like I know that should go down the track, unless
right.
the track isn't there, which the great part about drag racing is it's the equalizer, whether or not the surface can handle or not handle who's there with what they got. That's the good part. And we all have to tune around it. So that's how I would approach that situation is I would go and find a similar thing. And that's where that would be my starting point.
So in the motorcycle world, there's a bunch of different ECUs.
Yes.
When you bring up electronics, it's what makes me bring this question up or bring this statement up. There's the Max, there's Holly, there's Fuel Tech, and there's Motec. If you want to tell people about what you do as far as in what you use, I know you can tune them all,
Right.
but I'm saying I know that you have a particular brand that you use.
Yeah. So first and foremost, everybody needs to know when they're out shopping for an ECUs, they're all nice little fancy black boxes with a circuit board in them, and they won't do a goddamn thing unless someone to do. After that's said and done, you got to go down and pick through, I guess, which you're the most comfortable with, which you are, tied into, or what you favor, right? So, HTP Performance, we have worked with Motec since 2003. And when the M1 series ECU, the magnesium series ECU came to the country, we were one of the first to develop the motorcycle side and what's called a package in the ECU. It's called a package because it is a total package. So it's basically the firmware that you write that you see when you're hooked up to your computer. And it has your maps for your fuel tables, your ignition tables, your shifting, your controls like nitrous control, boost control, wheelie control, all types of strategies for things. And because I was with that platform from day one, and I was taught M1 build, and I was able to work directly with Motec's engineers, I automatically just really cling to them and developed a really good working relationship. And we've been going hard for 15 years now on that thing. And I really feel that for a motorcycle drag bike, we've developed probably the most user-friendly package that's out there as far as what can be done. There are so many other great ECUs out there and great platforms. I don't knock any one of them. And like I said, they'll only do what the guy behind the keyboard tells them to do. The reason I choose the Motec side for my shop is one, reliability. they've been known to be expensive over the years. They've always been kind of like a high-end ECU. But I can say, and don't hold me to exact, but let's just say out of 100 ECUs, I've might had one fail. And over the years, I've sold more than 100 of them. But like I said, I've only had like one actually fail, and it was due to vibration, which would kill anything. But other than that, they got a really good rapport. They're the fact that I can call them up, and let's just say if Bell tells me he's got a turbo bike and he wants to do a wheelie control strategy with his boost increase solenoid and decrease solenoid, to where if the front wheel comes off the ground, it'll start relieving boost pressure instead of cutting ignition timing or something like that. Well, let's just say that my ECU didn't have that in it. Well, with the Motec and M1 build, we can write that strategy and code in there and then put it into the ECU, validate it, and then run it. And I can give him the strategy that he asked for right there on the fly. And what I do is I do that with development ECUs, and I do it throughout the years. I've gone through all different platforms of motorcycles. And if a customer likes something or asks for something, and I ask people, even people that do other ECU stuff, what is it that you would like to see that we don't do? And I like to put it in there, because at the end of the day, one of my relationships with Motec is we help them produce what's called motorcycle drag. So that is a package that you put in the ECU. And so all those things that, like that strategy, I just help him with his turbo bike and I put in the ECU. Now I can make it public. So if you own the motorcycle drag license, now you're going to get the benefits. You're going to see version 1. You're going to get a little swirly bird on top of your computer screen saying there's an update to it, and you'll click on it and it'll tell you there's version 2 is ready, and version 2 is going to have an update. It's going to have a wheelie control turbo strategy. Wow. That's why I like it. I like it because of freedom. Like for example, like Holly, super great, big, huge company, awesome ECU. If I called them and wanted to make a change, I'm not going to say they wouldn't change it, but would they change it right there that day at the racetrack? No,
Right.
they wouldn't. And I'd have to come up with, hey man, I'm going to sell 15 more of these ECUs to make this change, and it's a business model. Every one of them has their own business model. And that's also why sometimes people don't understand the complexity or the price difference in some of the Motec stuff, is because it's because of the availability of the engineers, that when we rewrite firmware and I shoot an email to Australia, and within 24 hours I have a validated, ready for the public firmware. People don't understand that goes on behind the scenes. They're just like, it's a damn Motec, that thing's expensive, so they don't realize how complex, and then how fast they can produce it. But one of my biggest favorite things about it is I'm able to change the layout of the way the computer looks. I have customers that don't even use a computer to check their email, and I have
me.
that are like computer geniuses. So I got them from both ends of the spectrum, and I can take a guy that owns a nitrous bike, and I'm like, look, man, here it is. I did all your tuning. This is your nitrous graph. This is all you got to touch. I can make his screen look just like that. It'll just be his nitrous ramp, and he can add or take away or shorten it or make it longer, and he doesn't have to do anything else. Or I can give the guy the old all calibrate window, and he can go look at all 500,000 things that's in the ECU. I can make it as simple or as complex as the end user wants. And for that, I like it, because a lot of end users, especially in the standalone market, they get really concerned about when you get overwhelmed really easy when you see so many tabs. Man, if I click on the wrong thing, my damn motor's not going to run today. Like it can get really, really complex. So you can kind of dumb it down and make it to be. I mean, I try to make it as simple as possible. I can have 30 motorcycles parked out in front of my trailer, and everybody's like, "How the hell can you tune that many bikes?" Well, it's the system, right? So I've made it to where I can literally look at your data, and in 30 seconds, through like screening your data, I can look for problems and I can look for solutions really fast. And after that, now we can talk about going faster. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that makes it all, kind of work like it does. But and that's the reason why I choose that manufacturer. And like you said, I've sold other ECU platforms. I mean, we've sold and tuned pretty much every one of them that's out there. But by far, Motec is our that's in our wheelhouse. That's what we do. That's our mainstay. That's where we focus all our energy on.
Or you can have idiots like me that say, if it goes fast, just fucking do it. Just put it on there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I tell people too, like, it's getting crazy because, the car world's been seeing it for a while now. And now the motorcycles, like with standalones, with data, with technology comes, man, back in the day, we used to tune a bike on a dyno with a power commander. You take it to the racetrack. I wouldn't see it again until next year. Like, a guy might say, come freshen up my tune, or I'll freshen up my motor, or I'll change my cams or something, like, will you retune it? Now it's like every run, I got to pull the data off. I got to look at it. And I'm like, man, are you just looking at it to make sure everything's okay? Or are you actually making adjustments?
Yeah.
I mean, because the damn computers nowadays, when they're set up and configured properly, they pretty much damn near tune themselves, But calibrating an engine and tuning a motor to like peak power is not tuning a bike on a racetrack to go its quickest ET and run its fastest mile per hour.
Because you have to tune to conditions.
That's correct.
And to the rider.
That's where tuning comes from. You know what I mean? That's where, that's where people like me, that's where we're tuning. Like when I'm tuning a bike at the track, I'm not, man, to be honest with you, I'm not looking at your air fuel. If I'm looking at your air fuel, that means I didn't do my job when I set the bike up. All that shit should have been done at the shop on the dyno. And maybe minor brushing it up at the track. But after that, I'm trying to figure out how fast can I turn that goddamn wheel up. That's where I'm at. Yeah,
so. I think you've told me before, it's who locks the throttle first.
That's right.
And like I said, that's a big part of the rider, you and the motorcycle all working as one.
That's right.
And the owners giving you the leadway and not sparing any expenses to put you in a spot where you can do that.
Correct.
A lot of people don't get it. They don't understand that okay, they can come to you and say, hey, Cecil, this is what I want you to build me. And you build them what they asked for. But there were so many parameters there that they could have went if they would have said, hey, Cecil, just do what you want to do to it.
Right.
Set it up for me where it's ready to go and do what you want to do to it. And then there's nothing holding you back from giving it everything that you know and everything you got. And
there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, I hate it when it gets down, and it's racing, man. Shit's expensive, and I tell people all the time, like, do it right the first time. At least try, because when you 90% something, you're gonna get 90% out of it, right? If you did the whole motor from top to bottom, but you left out the camshaft, okay, it's not going to work like it would if you had that camshaft in it. It's like you just can't. It's all like, you build houses, right?
Right.
You can build the baddest house on the planet, but if the foundation of that thing ain't shit, it's going to crumble like a cookie. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Like, it's just every little piece, every nail in that house matters. Every piece of plywood, everything matters. And the same thing goes with race engines. I don't care if you're running NASCAR. I don't care if you're Top Fuel or if you're on a drag bike. It doesn't matter. You want to do everything 100%, not cut any corners, and do it right, and you will get results.
Well, and like Bell said, is giving you, the creativity. Don't hinder you from, just like my shot guy Sammy when he's there. I don't know what that shit means when I'm looking at all those graphs like you look at. It's Chinese arithmetic to me. But I say, hey, Sammy, you do your thing. because you know what you're doing, you know, and people have to understand that you guys, you specialize in this. This is your bread and butter. You're not going to make it shitty, you know, because that's not going to make you any money, you know?
Oh, and I got a bad problem too. I tell people one time, I'll be like, hey man, you know, you should do this. And then, and I'll keep it moving. Like if they don't acknowledge it, I'll keep, you know, I'm not going to beg you. you know what I
Right.
mean? Like that. I'm not trying to twist your arm into doing something. And then, and people will come and ask me like after the build, like, hey, you know, you said something that night about doing this. We didn't do that, did we? And I'm like, nah, well, you didn't respond.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I know with me particularly, like I said, if I come to you for something, prime example, when I first bought the bike,
Yeah.
and I text you, the guy told me to text you that you had done the bike originally, and you were honest with me. You was like, man, I haven't seen that bike in a couple years.
Yeah.
And when I got the bike was there, but it wasn't what it was supposed to be. And the owner before me, he said, hey, look, man, call Cecil. I trust Cecil. Take the bike to Cecil, have Cecil to look at it, and whatever he says, that's what we're going to do. And you said from the beginning.
And you, yeah, he really did. He was like, hey, if anything's wrong, I trust him, and you know.
Exactly, and that's the rapport that you've built with your customers throughout the years, and that's the rapport that you have with me. I'll tell you fast, you know, I'll be like, I'm a dumbass. So just whatever. If I ask you a stupid question, just say that's a dumbass fucking question, but answer it so I know why it's dumb. And but like with that situation, you went in it and you was like, man, just honestly, it's just tired.
Right.
It's tired. It needs some attention.
Yep.
And we told you, hey, do what it needs to be done to get it back right, and any upgrades you got, do it.
Right.
And people don't understand, if you don't do that dealing with a person like you, when you're talking about high performance, the word before the word before performance is more important than the performance part.
That's right.
Because if they limit you on what you can do, then they can expect to come and take part of the product and get the same result as the man that went full out.
Correct.
And people don't understand that. You know, they think that this particular bike or that particular bike's got something magical on it. They don't understand the work that goes into getting those bikes to those positions. They don't understand the testing. They don't understand, you know, me texting you saying, hey, what I need to do, and you're like, hey, I'll call you as soon as I leave the shop, and you call my phone at 10:45 at night driving on your way to home, you know, after you've been there since 8 o'clock this morning. They don't understand that part of the game, and they don't understand that you know, there's 30 of me doing the same thing to you.
Yeah.
You know,
I think I learned, you know, people like Cecil and like Sammy that are very passionate about what they do in their business. Because one time I was at the racetrack with Sam, and he was like, the next day he texted me, asked me what was going on. And I was like, well, I didn't want to bother you. It was late because we were there at like midnight after. He was like, man, I do this shit every day. You know, I've got people calling me all hours of the night. You know, call me if you don't call me. And people like you that are passionate and know what they're doing, you would rather someone say, hey, what's going on? Or, you know, let me know what's going on so I can help you.
Oh yeah, I mean, man, guys call me at 2:00 in the morning racing in the highway, you know. And all I ask them is, hey, if you're gonna go race in the street on Friday at 2 a.m, tell me now. You know what I mean?
So I know.
So my ass ain't in bed. You know what I mean? Tell me now, because I mean, I hate running down the stairs in the middle of the night to get on the computer. Sometimes I miss that bottom step, and there's a big ass boom.
Yeah, and like I said, I think in a short period of time, I think I've built a good rapport with you. And like I said, I go about it different than a lot of people. I'm sure you do have people like me that come to your shop, and then you have the regular person that comes in there and says, hey, no, this is what I want, this is what I can do. And you're like, well, this is what you can get for what you're asking for. And I mean, it would be a perfect world for you if everybody just walked in and said, hey, fucking figure it out. Give me the baddest thing you could give me. And people don't understand. You can go do the exact same thing on this bike to another bike and still not to get the same results. There's that old saying, that motor was built on Friday or that motor was built on Wednesday. Sometimes they just don't react the same.
Yeah, sometimes they don't. I mean, you know, sometimes you want them all to be perfect, but I mean, sometimes, you know, you'll get one that'll kick your ass. I mean, I know for the last probably 2 months, we've been getting bikes ready for the events coming up, and some went smooth, some were like, God damn, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
it
think
just,
I took one there that was like that.
yeah, but it is. I mean, it's part of it. If everything was gravy train, everybody would do it. So
All right,
it
so
hard pays off.
speaking of events,
Yeah,
like I said, I know, and everybody that knows you knows your hearts with the grudge racing thing and everything else. You and Leah and your staff at HTP, you've formed a different staff there now. You
yeah,
have
we
a
got
you,
got a little team for Horsepower Hustle now.
yeah. So tell us
It's
a
a
little bit about Horsepower Hustle.
Yeah, so it's a grudge race series. It's 6 events this year. We're starting this weekend at GALOT, and the main reason for doing it, I just wanted to have a grudge only series. Shootouts are popular. Uh, I wanted to offer shootouts. I wanted to have good prep, good racetracks, really good racetracks, good prep. Grudge racing is getting popular all over the country. People are going everywhere, but the bikes are getting really fast, and the bikes are really requiring like prep on kill. Track has got to be on kill. Like surface has got to be great. So we tried to do this year was go to 6 really good racetracks, and we hired Brandon Mass Traction to come out to prep for the series for the year, and we really just wanted to do a little different. Like I'm not having bracket racing in our series. This is basically us doing what I guess all the racers have always asked for. Grudge racers have always been kind of like put onto the side. Like they would go to an event and then, oh, there's grudge at night, or there's grudge, here. Then we take a break and go back to regular racing or class racing and stuff like that. So this is just straight up grudge. And with that we have 11 shootouts now. And then there's also open grudge throughout the entire day. It's 2-day events. They're Friday, Saturday events. And basically it's 11 to 11 both days. Um, and 11 to 4 on Friday and Saturday is open, like kind of if you want to call it test and tune or fun run, shakedowns, whatever you want to call them. Or you can straight up grudge race off the trailer. Doesn't matter. But starting at 4 o'clock, there's 5 shootouts that'll run Friday night and 5 that'll run Saturday night. And then when those shootouts, in between those shootout rounds, you're able to grudge race, and we're not really limiting anybody to any amount of grudge racing. Like if you come out there and want to knock off 15 grudge races in a weekend, then come on and do it. Like that's what we're here for.
So you said that you're having 6 events.
Yes,
What
sir.
6 tracks are you going to? We know Galot's this weekend right here in Dun and Benson.
Yeah, GALOT's this weekend. Then we hit the second stop on the tour is going to be Orangeburg, South Carolina. Then after that's Gainesville, Florida. And we strategically took the summer off and then started back up in September. And we go to Virginia Motorsports Park, Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Darlington. The reason I did summer off and the winter off, there's a ton of racing this year. I mean, there's a grudge race every weekend. I wanted to make sure that people could pick and choose where they wanted to go, and then there's really good events happening this summer that people can go to, and I also wanted to have like a kind of a downtime or a break period. Racing has become, it used to kind of be from March to November, and now it's pretty much all year round because people will travel as far as Texas, Louisiana, and Florida in the wintertime, and they'll just race nonstop. So we really have no downtime to like repair builds, do stuff like that. So I just wanted to like make our customers for Horsepower Hustle have a break if they chose to race that series and that series only or whatever. I was just giving them some breaks, some 3-month breaks in between, like kind of half time for each side. So I did a spring and fall deal. But I already know, I mean, man, there's a lot of good events going on this summer that we'll probably hit. And I'm excited. I'm really, we've had a lot of good rapport from all the companies that have stepped on board. You guys jumped on as being a sponsor too. It's been really good. I like to see now that the grudge racers are actually getting some love. You know what I mean? It was nice to see the manufacturers and the companies come on board as sponsors for a grudge event. So, I mean, man, these grudge guys put just as much money, if not more, than any other form of racing. And I feel like they never really got the respect or the kickback, from the actual business side of it. So
Well,
I'm happy for them to, get recognized and get noticed for that.
Well, on the business side of it, for a lot of years, people thought that grudge racing was just a shit talking meeting. You
Yeah.
know, that everybody was there to argue and scream and holler and talk shit and have fun.
Right.
You know, that does make it fun. The access that you have as far as to people's pits and walking
Yeah.
around, seeing the bikes up close and everything else is second to none. But like I said, I know, man, you've had this conversation, and I know this is something that you've done from your heart. I mean, because your exact words to me was, Bill, I don't care if it don't make a dime.
Yeah.
Long as my customers has got a platform and a place to race,
Right.
and they get the race, you know, that makes me happy. If I can break even on it, I'm
Yeah.
good with that.
The last thing, the last thing I really needed on my plate was to do a race series. That's really the last thing I needed. But on the flip side, I mean, man, we have to do it. The sport's growing like crazy. Like I said, you know, I have HTP Performance. That's my business. The horsepower hustle is going to be. It's a platform for the racers to kind of do what they want. Man, we could go to this race this weekend, and for some reason, shootouts stopped being the thing. I hear talk of it sometimes. Some people are like, oh, we're not doing shootouts. Well, hey, look, if the racers say and they come together and say, we want to just grudge race all day long, well, we will make a change. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm here for. Like it's not. I really want to make sure that everybody know that we're just trying to accommodate, and you can't please everybody. I know that there's always going to be somebody at the end of the day that's not going to be satisfied. But we just want to make sure that we're allowing people to do what they love to do, and that's race. And the grudge guys, I feel like they've always been kind of put on the back burner. So now I'm stepping up. I'm putting my neck out there. I'm on the line. I'm going to a really good racetrack with really good prep. We even brought in, Motor Mania TV to film it and have it live on streaming. And, I'm really excited for it. The the forecast this weekend is getting better by the day, thank goodness. So we had to cancel testing for Wednesday, but that's okay. It's all right. I'd rather get that rain out of here. I don't care.
Yeah, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because too, where the racetrack's at, a lot of times we'll get rain here and they won't get rain there,
Yeah.
just because it's in the middle of nowhere. But it's a great, great facility, probably one of the nicest facilities on the East Coast.
Oh,
Period, in the country. Period.
yeah.
Now you've done something interesting with this series because so you've got all the, I think, Pro Boost. I'm just going to name a couple because I don't remember all of them. But Pro Boost, Radio Tire Shootout, which is the nitrous bikes.
Yep.
The Kings of NOS,
Yes.
or
Yep. Pro nitrous. Yep.
yeah, Pro Nitrous, and then the Highway Hustler.
Mm-hmm.
So like the NOS bikes, most of the time they're not running more than 1/8 of a mile.
Right.
And then of course the 63-inch Highway Hustler bikes.
Yep.
They want to run that thing out the back door.
Right.
But the interesting thing that you've done with your stuff is some of the tracks are 1/8 of a mile.
That's right.
So you've got to be able to prepare for both ways if you're going to run this class.
If you're gonna run that class, you got to prepare for both ways, and then also, some guys that have their shit dialed in the quarter mile, like they leave a lot on the table in the 8th mile, or if somebody maybe they don't have the motor that the guy does right next to him, but man, I'm telling you, in the 8th mile racing, you better have your shit together because if you sleep the light, if you can't lock that thing in first gear, anything can happen. It can go either way. That's the thing I'm more excited to see. I think the little short bikes battling it out is really good. It's just like our super stock class that we run in XDA. I did outlaw super stock, and the reason it's outlaw for horsepower hustle is we have minimal to zero tech. It's grudge racing. You know what I mean? And, you know, I caught a lot of shit for that. A lot of people were pretty pissed that I didn't want to tech it. But, man, I don't want to turn anybody away. I want everybody to come out and have fun. And I mean, look, if you're running this class, man, in the 8th mile, there's so many ways that if someone does have more power than you, if you can outride them and out-tune your motorcycle and out-clutch your motorcycle, you can turn the wind light on. I promise you can.
So hey, I don't want to cut you off, but we've got somebody watching here live from Africa, from Ghana. Yeah. So I'm going to shout out to Francis for coming on the show, watching live, man. We appreciate you. And the views and the likes and everything's great. I want everybody to go on Cecil's HTP Performance page and like his page. And he's got a whole catalog there that you can go on to order parts. You don't have to take your bike to his shop to get his parts. You can go right there and click and buy it right there at the touch, Leah. Take care of it, get it right out to you, then go on the Horsepower Hustle page and like it too. Like I said, man, I think that you're doing great things for the sport. I think you're an innovator in the sport. And, it's a pleasure for me to do business with you because, like I said, I know I can get aggravating because I know I ask dumb questions, you know what I mean? But, and because I haven't been around the motorcycle since 2000. Right. And I didn't make that no secret with you. I told you that. I said, look, I've been, for the last 7-8 years, I run up and down the road with Stevie, running the radio tire car, running the Pro Mod car, and everything else. I said, so the motorcycle game's evolved so much since then.
Oh, yeah, it's changed.
Like you said, I mean, back then you take it to KWS, Bob Carpenter, anybody put a power commander on it and a motor kit, and you're out there flying. That's now right. It's not like that. You got to prepare, and because the man beside you is preparing.
That's right.
As we're speaking right now, some of those guys from out of town, I guarantee you, they're somewhere testing right now as we're speaking on the show.
I know some highway guys that are coming to the track and are making hits in the road right now. So.
Oh yeah. Jazzy James, Jay James says, Cecil and Bell, what's up? What's up, Jay?
What's up, man?
Them boys is tuning in from Philly. Like I said, man, I reached out to you and told you about bringing you on the show because I wanted to help you sort of put it out there to everybody. Because like normally we're more about the circle track racing here because I sponsor a lot of stuff here in the circle track racing, and it's real huge here in this area. But I want
one of them things and wheel that bitch around the dirt circle for you.
We got a bunch of them that you can damn sure get in, for sure. You may not be able to get out of it. We may have to help you get out of it once you get in it, but
back over and get me in.
Right.
Well, I think Jody was asking, is there anything he can do?
Oh, yeah. So there's a guy on here that runs legend cars, and they run the little Yamaha 1250. Yeah. He was asking if there was something that you could do where that's concerned. I mean, I'm sure you can work on any motorcycle motor.
Man, I tell you, the crazy part was I tried to reach out to Suzuki a couple years back to put Hayabusa engines in the legend cars. And Suzuki did not want to just ship crate Hayabusa engines over here. You'd have to buy bikes and take them apart. It's a whole, it's a whole legal issue and all that shit, and it got sloppy. I really wish the legend cars had a more modern, fuel injected platform. There's so much cool stuff that they could do.
It is, and they're starting to step over into that more. Like my particular legend car, we went to the FZ09.
Yes.
And I think it's more of I ain't gonna say a branding thing, but with U.S. Legends, it's sort of like everything that you buy for a legend car.
Yes.
Either comes from them or it comes from a manufacturer that manufactures that product, nothing but for them.
Correct.
And like one of your competitors has stepped off into the dirt stuff a lot, Kobe.
Yeah.
Kobe's like huge here in the sprints, the micro sprints, the 260s, and all of that stuff, 600s. Yeah, and that stuff's wild to watch. I mean,
Kobe got me drag racing. like I said, I went with Jim Carroll, and he rode Kobe's Superbike in 2001, and Kobe unleashed me. I love him and hate him for it, but no, yeah, that's my buddy, man. He kicks ass in the sprint cars, man. I love it. I love watching him. I follow him all the time. He does a great job, man. That guy's got goddamn 600cc motors growing in the floor at his shop. He's got some of them goddamn things down there. But man,
Oh,
they make a killer motor package for that thing. They are all over that whole deal. They really kick ass in that.
you go to Millbridge on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
All the NASCAR boys are there. They got their kids there. Christopher
Yeah.
Bell, all them's there. All you hear on the intercom all night long is powered by Kobe Adams. Powered by Kobe Adams. And like I said, I mean, people was like, "Damn, he don't build motorcycles no more." I said, "He probably don't have no damn time to build a motorcycle no more." I said, "Because every dirt car at the track's got a Kobe Adams motor on it."
That's right. Yeah.
But back to the horsepower hustle thing. I know you. Like I said, I know you went full blown into this thing. Like you got Leah every day. She's doing stuff with it. You got Ben
Yep.
over the media side of it and the promotion
Yeah.
side of it, and so just tell us a little bit about how you put your team together and what you told them you wanted to do and doing all of this.
Yeah. So the main focus was first and foremost, we had to listen what the racers wanted first. Then we had to put together a plan. Then we sat down, wrote down the classes, wrote down when we were going to run them, how we were going to do them, and then Ben went running with it, man. And he has been out there just lighting social media's ass up. He's created a brand. Our logos, the horse heads are killer, man. We love that stuff. Asphalt, the 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 track part, the putting bodies on the asphalt, like that was stuff that me and Leah sat down and we're like, we wanted to create an organization. Basically, this is why we offered a membership, and all it was to kind of get people pre-entered for the season. So not only are you committing to us, but we're committing to doing this whole thing, so we were just in rewarding people with no lines, waiting, getting premium parking, that type of stuff. And they really I think laid it out to where it should be pretty seamless. It shouldn't. You should be able to go to a track. You should be able to pull in the gate, park, unload your shit, and go straight to racing. You shouldn't have to worry about any of the drama and all the stuff like. Just trying to make everything more streamlined, more date, as far as like doing stuff with the membership, having people having their passes, e-tickets and things like that, just stuff to help streamline getting you into the gate and get your experience kicked off and having a little better experience, and getting down to racing. That's what we're here for. It's all about the racing at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and not to backtrack or nothing, but like I said, a lot of people, they see you at the racetrack and you're constantly moving and going. You're going with this bike, you're going with that bike, you're tuning this bike, you're tuning that bike. They don't understand what kind of, like I've been to your shop a bunch, so they don't understand what kind of family feel you got there. Like they don't understand that, you got your wife working hand in hand with you. I think your mother-in-law works in there.
Yeah.
Your dad.
Yeah. I was gonna say a lot of people, one, don't realize how small our shop is, as far as meaning it's not that many. I don't have 10, 15 employees. You know what I mean? It's mostly family oriented. We do have a couple non-family members working there, but for the most part, it is family oriented. And it starts with, me and Leah, up front. It's funny. A lot of people don't know what it's like to work with your spouse. It's good and bad. It's really, I mean, it's special. And me and her always tell people that talk about doing it, like you really ought to, it's not easy. It's
Reconsider.
not, people don't realize how hard it is, but we both put in the work, and there'll be days when we get home and we've been at the shop all day together and we didn't even talk to each other. So we've been just that busy at the shop. So it definitely, it's something that people don't realize. You know, we're all invested in, whether it's HTP and Horsepower Hustle. I mean, man, my dad stopped doing heating and air conditioning, and he used to just come and hang out at my shop, and then he would go to the racetrack, and he started loving going to the races. And man, there's my old man will outwork a 20-year-old. You know what I mean?
That's 100% fact. And
That guy will outwork a 20-year-old right now, and he ain't that old either though. He's only 62, but he'll stomp a 20-year-old's ass in the ground when it comes to working. He can work his ass off, and
well, you
he's
know when he, you know your dad's become one of my favorite people. You know that.
yeah,
Like I call him Pops. But he tickles me, man, because he's like, even when you're in there doing your thing, he's outside constantly doing something. He's never sitting still. He's either going to the line with a bike because you're in the trailer tuning, or
right.
he's outside making changes on a bike that you tell him needs to be made. I mean, it's like cool. Like I said, I know it probably gets overbearing sometimes because all of y'all are family, and so they see the good and the bad of it. They see you in there having a great day, and then they see you in there going nuts because something went wrong,
Oh yeah.
or vice versa. Them doing the same thing, but like it's special, man, that you're in a situation that you can have all your family with you,
Oh
and
yeah. Is. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, it definitely, don't get me wrong, it can get like Orange County choppers in that motherfucker, but we can throw shit and get to screaming and yelling, and the non-family members are like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna go take a lunch break." You know what I mean?
yeah,
But on the flip side, though, man, on an average, on a day to day, man, I couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, I love being able to do something that doesn't feel like work every day and share that with my wife, my father, my mother-in-law, my kids. My kids are able to come to the shop. I didn't want to force racing on my children. I mean, like I want them to do what they want to do. But you know, they're getting older, and people will see here soon. I'm working on doing a junior drag bike class. I've been working on having Ryan Schnitz do a school and teach children the proper ways and the techniques of a drag strip. There's no entry level to this sport. You got junior dragster, but there's no junior drag bike.
that's right.
Right.
And I've reached out to a company called Avail. They're from Italy. They build a little mini bike um, that they were willing to send us two bikes that so we could showcase the bikes for people. And I am super excited that as this year goes on, we're working on the insurance portion of it now, getting all that taken care of. And what we're going to do is we're going to offer kids a classroom time to where they can come in, sit down, learn the workings of a drag strip, how the track works from the burnout box to the finish line, and then go from the classroom to the track. And man, I just think it'd be a really good thing, because right now, if you don't have a driver's license, or you're not technically supposed to be able to race a motorcycle. And I know some outlaw tracks allow it, which is great. But I want everybody to allow it. I want them to be just like junior dragsters, because, man, we need the next Jimmy Teasley, Richard Gadsden. You know, we need these guys. The next Ryan Schnitz. We need these kids, and I'm also worried too. Like for me, I know nowadays, like I don't see too many high school and college kids out riding motorcycles like it was when I was a kid. You know?
That's right.
When I was a kid, you had a motorcycle, you were badass, you know,
Yeah.
and
They're riding motorcycles on video games.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Need to get them off the video game and get their ass, stop playing Gran Turismo, and get your ass on a fucking little dirt bike and go out here and try to win some money. You know?
absolutely. And like I said, man, that's one of the main reasons I wanted to bring you on the show, is because
Right.
I wanted the people to see, when people look at you, all they think about is the motor builder, the tuner. They
Right.
don't know how much you stress and how much effort you put forth to better the sport.
Yeah.
Forget the money, the fame, all that stuff that comes from being the top dog. Just how much you put into them, making everything better.
Yeah. I
You
really,
know,
and it goes back to, super stock racing. I did that because I when I started this, the legends came from 600 Super Sport. I mean, Ricky Gadsden, Keith Dennis, Eddie Krawick, Richard Ryan. You know what I mean? All these guys, they came from 600 Super Sport. That class died down because of regulations and rules and teardowns and all this. So we brought back Super Stock. And man, there's so many guys that came from XDA Super Stock that people didn't even know of. Like, nobody knew who David Fondon was, as far as in Maryland, in Jersey, in North Carolina, New York. They didn't know who David Fondon was. They know who his ass is now. You know,
Absolutely.
They know who his ass is now, and that comes from, you know, that class, and that's where that class did what I wanted to. It brought out these new riders, this new flavor. Like, that's what we need for the sport. We constantly need to keep growing it, and that's where the next me is to get the kids involved, and to do it in the right way. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to just go to backyard tracks and that didn't have insurance policies. And I get it. You can run a kid down the track on a mini bike or whatever. That's fine. I want them to be able to go to a GALOT, a Virginia Motorsports Park,
Right.
Yeah.
National Race. Their mom and dad are in their top sportsman car. I want the kids that, you know, I want the parents to be able to tell the kids, hey, you're going to better keep your ass straight this weekend or you're not racing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, we got to get the kids out there and doing stuff. So.
And like I said, man, in the short period of time that I've known you, like, you've helped me out tremendously. And I tell you that all the time, not blowing your horn or anything like that, but I tell you all the time, I appreciate you 100%. And but again, what you do for the sport is what a lot of people don't recognize. You know, and I've been to your shop where you about to pull your hair out because you're like, hey, I'll be out there in a minute because I'm trying to do this or do that.
Oh, I mean, shit, you can let them know. You just drove all the way up there the other day. I couldn't even come outside to talk to you because I was on the fucking internet tuning somebody's car that goddamn won't running right. It was just a pain in the ass, but it's all good.
And I told you, I said it ain't no problem because you messaged me immediately when you got through doing what you was doing and was like, yo, as soon as I leave from this shop tonight, I'll call you.
That's right.
And stuff like that don't bother me. I mean, it bothers a lot of people, but it don't bother me because I knew when I stepped in that arena, I knew you're busy. It's the same thing with me. I mean, my phone rings 1,000 times a day, and it's a guy asking me if I can go give him a quote on building a deck.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'm not being a prick, but no, I can send you this guy,
Right.
and I'll put my word on him.
Yeah.
You know, because if I come, it's going to be 8 weeks from now.
Right.
And so, you know, I get it. And me being in business for myself helps me understand a lot more of what you go through. Like I said, my biggest thing for bringing you on the show is because I wanted the people that deal with you but truly don't know all the things that you take on and all the things that you got going on as far as not only building your business, building your brands, but as far as building racing, period. Like you're sitting here talking about right now, like you want to push all this stuff for the kids. You don't have to do that. I mean, because you can't get paid for that time that you lose trying to promote this stuff.
Right.
And people don't get it. And like I said, man, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on. And like I said, you got a hell of a team there, you know, and I mean, you and I've talked about many different things. And like I said, one thing well, there's a couple things that I can say. You've never bashed none of your competitors. Like I've said, hey, man, what do you think about this guy? And you was like, hey, this dude's fucking badass. He's fucking badass. He said, hey, you know, the man shit runs. And not once did you ever say, well, nah, I can make shit run faster than him. It's never come out of your mouth. You may feel like that. You may feel like that, but you didn't say it. You was like, nah, man, they're fucking badass. You know, and that's a respect thing. That's the same thing with me. You'll never hear me talk any shit about any of my competitors. Right. Because if me and you bid against a job and I lose, it's just what it is.
I got the utmost respect for everybody that does what we do. And I mean, you know,
and a lot of people don't know that most of y'all feed off of each other. I mean, because
a lot of people don't realize how close like the shop owners really are, you know.
Exactly. I mean, they think it's like a full-on competition.
Yeah, they like to stir the shit up, but Man, no, we actually, for the most part, I'd say 95% of us all talk to one another. We all respect one another. Um, you know, there there's not enough of us out there to try to get business by talking bad about the other one.
And there's
And
so much business out there. You can't do it all.
no, nobody can do it all. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Nobody can do it all. And I mean, that's not how you go about shit, or at least I don't. If I got to bash somebody to get your business, I wasn't raised like that, and I don't do that. I mean, when I played football in high school and college, I mean, like when I scored a touchdown, I didn't even celebrate because I was taught to act like you deserve to be in that fucking end zone. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like you've been there before.
That's right. So,
Hey, there's a question here for you, Cecil. It says, "Are Banshees allowed this weekend in testing?"
I did have someone ask me that, and I said I think we're going to allow them. The only thing I might do if they're cool with it, I know the two strokes they typically they tend to spit a little bit of oil out, so I might ask if they might run a little out of the groove if they don't mind. But look, man, some of them things are so fucking fast. We'll be fine. I mean, man, we got the track prep on kill, so yeah, I'll make it to where they can run.
And Max Traction, they're badass. So,
Yeah.
you're going to have a good surface there. And like I said, me and you discussed that from the very beginning. You told me, you was like, when I done this deal right here, I said, I'm going to have my own track prep guy, and we're going to take him through the whole series.
Yeah.
So everybody knows what they're going to get from the first racetrack, first event. You know what you're going to get.
Right.
And like I said, again, man, we thank you for coming on the show. Like
man.
everybody, man, come out and support GALOT this weekend. Then after that, the other 5 events, Cecil, Leah, Ben, Big Cecil. I don't know Leah's mother's name, but his mother-in-law. Everybody, support them at the shop, man. Like their page. Like I said, you can browse and buy parts from them. You don't have to be a HTP customer. When I say that, I'm saying you don't have to be there going to build out some all-out grudge bike. He sells stuff for the normal bikes too. And again, man, we appreciate you taking the time out to come on here with us and tell people about your stuff and about what you got going on and about what you're trying to do for the racing world.
Yes, sir. No, pleasure. You guys having me on here. I really appreciate it. It was really good.
And we're going to get you back, man. We'll probably get you back before the next event, or maybe during halftime or something. We'll get you back on and let you recap the first 3 events and tell people how you think it's going so far, and try to get some more people in here watching this thing and get the word out about the horsepower hustle and about HTP performance.
Oh yeah, you can do a recap of me racing one of them damn cars y'all gonna let me run.
There you go.
I can promise you.
I can promise you'll tear up less than Ronnie and Chad do.
I can guarantee it. I'm probably the only man on the planet probably spent $50,000 racing a Legend in 1 year. Yeah, and it was mostly toilet parts. But like I said, man, we appreciate you, and tell everybody at the shop that we appreciate them and we appreciate all y'all do, man.
Thank you, man.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Okay.
sir.
Right.
See ya.
Man, so I actually learned a lot about drag racing just in that. I mean, it's not too dissimilar from the stuff that we do.
It isn't.
You
And
know,
that's what I was
at
telling you
Circle Track.
before. I said it's the same thing. It's all about the preparation. It's all about having a guy that's an innovator that can give you that little niche that can get you above the competition.
Yep.
But like I said, you can't handcuff those guys.
No.
If you go to those guys and you want to race and you want to race at that level, you got to allow those guys to do what they do. You got to allow Cecil Towner to be Cecil Towner. You got to allow HTP to be HTP. You just can't go there and think that, hey, because I spend $6,000, I'm gonna run with a guy that spent $25,000. It's not like that.
And it's just like, like Sammy, he was messaging me this weekend, asking me stuff. Hey, send me this. Send me your numbers on this. I'm working on something. And that makes me feel good because I have so much shit going on this past weekend with work. I didn't even really think about the race car, but it's good to know that my guy, and like your guy, Cecil, they're constantly always working on stuff to make it better.
So, Tevon, you can always go back to any of the pages that it's listed on, AJ Ballinger Motorsports, Shine Runners Racing Radio, Precision Suspension's Facebook page, and then on YouTube, you can go to AJ Ballinger Motorsports or Shine Runners Racing Radio and always go back and pull the feeds up.
Yep.
like I said, man, it was really good to take AJ out of the arena that he's used to. And I told him, I said, man, you're going to learn a lot. And people don't realize how much all styles of racing relate to each other. And the biggest part of any of it is preparation. You know, you got a lot of guys that can't race on a big budget, and they go out there and do good with what they have to work with. But most of the time, the guys that can afford to get the next best thing or make changes and try something new, spend the money to try other things, most of the times those are the guys that go to the forefront. I mean, it's just like with us, you know. I mean,
and you got to surround yourself with great people.
Absolutely.
And like I said, you're not going to tell Picasso to paint with one fucking color,
right?
You know,
and that's what I tell people all the time. So when we were grudge racing cars, like, it was way more secretive than it is to the motorcycles. You know what I mean? Like you didn't tell somebody what you were doing or what you had or what you were building.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm used to. You know what I'm saying? I'm not used to, hey, man, yeah, I'm going to build this motorcycle and I'm going to come out there and bust your ass with it. No, I'm going to build it and tap you on the shoulder when I get there and be like, okay, let's go, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like I said, what I like about Cecil, Leah, and Big Cecil, the whole HTP family, the whole Horsepower Hustle family is he's straight up.
Right.
He's straight up, and you know me, I'm a blunt asshole.
Nah,
and I appreciate someone being that way. You know, it's like you respect it when you get to the point that we're in racing where, okay, you want to go fast, you want to be the fastest, then you got to put the work in to do that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We've talked about it before. Like, listen, Sammy's probably as close to me as anybody that's dealt with you.
Yeah. And then not only the couple races I've been with him, he's really made me a better driver, and he's made me smarter with the car and what to feel in the car.
Well, and that's what Cecil was saying.
Exactly, yeah.
So when he gives those riders that data, when he says, hey, this is what you've done, right here, you were 24% throttle at 60 feet. I'm going to need you locking the throttle at 60 feet.
Yeah.
When he tells them that and they respond, then that allows them to get off the motorcycle and say, okay, when I did that, this happened. And he can look back at the computer and say, yeah, that's exactly what happened, man. And he knows that they're taking in what he's given.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's big, too, that people like Cecil, you know, and Sammy, any business owner that's in, like you said, high performance, they invest in themselves by buying, like Cecil was talking about, the equipment and stuff that they've got. If you go in there to somebody's racing shop and they are sitting there doing work with these old ass machines that come off of battleships and stuff, you're not going to get the best.
Well, and that's what people don't understand.
That equipment that these guys have that are fast, that shit costs.
Well, and we've talked about it a lot.
That's why
I told you before. I said, hey, they went 26-0 in grudge racing their nitrous bike last year. You know, but like he said, that comes back to the owner, comes back to the builder, the tuner, and the rider. So everybody's on the same.
They got to work as a team.
Yeah, we're going to do whatever we got to do to be the fastest.
Yep.
You know, and that's when you take that next step and you get to the next level in racing. You know, I've always been one that if I can't afford to do it, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
If I can't do it the way I want to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put nobody out there on a half-ass motorcycle in a half-ass car. I'm going to go all out. That's the only way I know. And if I get my head busted in the end, well, then they've got stitches at the hospital to stitch the shit back up. We'll go again. But like I said, man, that's what attracted me to them per se. Because there's a bunch of engine builders out there in the motorcycle world, man, a bunch of guys that can make shit fast. What attracted me to them the most is that you get everything at a one shop. Oh, it's a one-stop shop. You know, if he builds your motorcycle and you put the parts on your motorcycle and you put the ECU on your motorcycle that he wants, he's gonna make sure your bike's tuned to the kills if you want him to tune it. Now, if you want to tune your own stuff, that's up to you.
Yeah.
But then the innovation of parts.
Yeah.
You know, hey, man, we just found this and it works. We tried it on this. We tested this and it works. We need to put this on your bike. And then you see the results. Then you want to spend your money with somebody like that.
Exactly.
And that's what he's established in the business. You know?
Yep.
And that's not saying that anybody else doesn't have that.
Exactly.
But that's saying that that's what drew me to him as far as a customer goes. And he don't know me like you know me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you know what my loyalty is. You know my loyalty lies with whoever I'm with, and that's how I rock. I mean, if I'm loyal to you in business, as a friend, as a person, we're gonna be that way till death.
Yeah.
And or till something's done to change it. But like I said, I want to thank all y'all for tuning in, man.
Yeah.
And again, thank Cecil and all the team at HTP for what they do for racing and just for the motorcycle world in general. Again, man, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys. Don't forget, stop by Precision Suspension. Fouled Out is presented by Precision Suspension. Give them a call for all your racing suspension needs. I think Sammy would probably do some cool stuff on drag racing, too.
Well, I was getting ready to say that. I think we might need to talk to him
Yeah.
and see if there's a way that we can put a motorcycle on a pull-down machine.
I'm sure Sammy's wheels are already turning. I can guarantee you, because he chimed in and said, I'm all in on the the junior drag bike
Yeah,
stuff.
so he's probably got a kid or someone that he's already it's working now.
Yeah.
So he'll come out there with some fucking top fuel junior drag bike.
Yeah. But
again,
thank you,
man,
guys. Yeah, be sure to like, subscribe. Check out the podcast. It will always be on AJ Bellinger Motorsports on Facebook, on YouTube. Shine Motors Racing Radio on Facebook, on YouTube. Gonna get it back on Precision Suspension. I think Sammy, the way that's working is I still got my Vietnamese guy that's connected with his, but I'm gonna get that
MC
fixed.
Tran.
Yeah, MC Tron, whatever. But thank you guys so much, and we will see y'all next time. Thank you.
Later.